If you had asked me a couple of years ago, I would have told you I had a great life, a solid job, a nice house, and what I thought was a loving wife. Her name was Vanessa, and we had been together for 8 years. Well, at least I thought we were together. Turns out, I was playing a game where the odds were stacked against me from the start. It all started gradually. Small changes I didn't notice at first. She began criticizing me more often, saying things like, "Why can't you be as ambitious as Mark from work?" Or, "Imagine how nice it must be for Lisa, the way her husband takes her on luxurious vacations." At first, I brushed it off as harmless complaints, but soon I realized she was comparing me to someone almost every single day. The more I tried to please Vanessa, the worse it got. If I worked late, I wasn't giving her enough attention. If I came home early, I lacked ambition. If I bought her gifts, I was wasting money. If I didn't, I was neglecting her. It was a game where no matter what I did, I could never win. Why did I stay? Because we had a daughter, and I didn't want her to grow up in a broken home. I fought for this marriage until the day my daughter said something that changed everything. "Daddy, can we get ice cream?" she asked, looking up at me with that hopeful smile kids get when they want something. I chuckled and shook my head. "Sweetheart, you know too much sugar isn't good for you." Usually, she'd start negotiating. But this time, she just shrugged and said, "Well, Uncle Jason always buys me ice cream." The world around me stopped. Uncle Jason? We didn't have an Uncle Jason. "Oh, yeah." I asked, keeping my tone casual. "Who's Uncle Jason?" Without hesitation, she replied, "Mommy's friend. He comes over when you're at work." I felt ice run through my veins. Kids that age don't make things like that up, especially not with that kind of casual honesty. I didn't confront Vanessa right away. No, I wasn't that stupid. Instead, I started paying attention, and everything became crystal clear. She was acting nervous, leaving the house more often, always glued to her phone. It was always on silent, screen flipped face down. She'd take it everywhere, even to the bathroom. If it rang while we were together, she'd rush to pick it up and step away before answering. And then came the final nail in the coffin. One night, I was looking for a pen in our bedroom when I spotted her open purse on the dresser. Inside, I saw a small plastic bottle, prescription medication. The name didn't ring a bell, so I pulled out my phone and Googled it. Treatment for STDs. That night, I didn't sleep, but I didn't make any rash decisions either. Instead, I started planning. Our state recognizes fault-based divorce. If I could prove her infidelity, Vanessa wouldn't just lose her right to alimony. She could even end up paying me damages. I hired a private investigator. He worked for over a month, and when he returned, he had everything I needed: photos, videos, evidence. She had been bringing this Jason guy into our home when I was at work. She had been leaving our daughter with babysitters or friends just so she could sneak off with him. She was living a double life, completely unaware that I was preparing my own checkmate. I started moving assets, transferring funds into accounts under my daughter's name, ensuring Vanessa couldn't touch a dime. Legally airtight, thanks to my lawyer. She wouldn't get a cent. And then the moment of truth arrived. One evening, after another pointless argument, Vanessa folded her arms and sneered. I want a divorce. She expected me to beg, to plead, to fight for her. I just smiled and said, "Okay." Her reaction was priceless. The next morning, still in her robe, she opened the envelope from my lawyer. I sat across from her and watched as her face changed, as she realized there would be no alimony and possibly she'd even owe me money. But this was just the beginning. The courtroom battle was still ahead, and that was where I planned to deliver the final blow. Vanessa didn't take it well. The moment she read through the divorce papers, her smug confidence cracked. She stared at me, her face pale, her mouth slightly open as if trying to process what she had just read. "What the hell is this?" she finally spat out, shaking the papers in her hand. I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever. "That's what you wanted, isn't it? A divorce." "You can't do this," she snapped. "Where's the alimony? The asset division?" I almost laughed. She really thought she had me wrapped around her finger, but she had no idea how far ahead I was. "Vanessa," I said, my voice dangerously calm, "this is a fault-based state. And thanks to your extracurricular activities, you get nothing." Her jaw clenched. She flipped through the papers again, her hands shaking. I saw the exact moment she realized she had been outplayed. It was beautiful. She slammed the papers on the table and glared at me. "You're bluffing. There's no way you have proof." I smirked. "You sure about that?" Silence. Then she scoffed. Even if you do, I'll fight you in court. The judge won't just. Actually, Vanessa, the judge will. I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out the folder from my private investigator. Photos, timestamps, receipts, and the cherry on top, the medical records of her recent prescription for an STD treatment. I placed the folder in front of her and watched as her face drained of all color. She flipped it open, her fingers trembling as she looked at the pictures. Her and Jason at a hotel. Her sneaking him into our house while I was at work. Text messages she thought were deleted. The prescription bottle. Every little detail of her betrayal laid out in black and white. She didn't say a word. Just sat there, staring at the evidence of her own downfall. You were saying? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Her lips parted, but no words came out. For the first time in years, Vanessa was speechless. And damn, it felt good. She tried to recover. This doesn't mean anything. The court will still split assets. I'm the mother of your child. I sighed, shaking my head. Oh, Vanessa, you think the court is going to side with a mother who repeatedly neglected her daughter to run around with her boy toy? A mother who left her kid home alone while she was out cheating. She flinched. I knew I hit a nerve. I have full custody lined up, too. I added, letting that sink in. That was a final blow. Her eyes filled with panic. No, you can't take her from me. I stood up, gathered my things. Watch me. She sat there frozen as I walked out of the room, leaving her to stew in her own mess. The game was over, and she had lost. But I wasn't done yet. The real battle was just beginning. Vanessa must have thought she still had a way out. Maybe she convinced herself that a judge would pity her, that she could spin some sob story and get at least something. But reality hit her harder than she ever expected. The courtroom was packed the day of our hearing. Vanessa strutted in, trying to look composed, but I could see the cracks in her facade. She was nervous. She should have been. My lawyer was a shark. We didn't just present evidence. We buried her under it. First came the surveillance photos. Vanessa and Jason sneaking around, meeting up at hotels. The timestamps proved she had been doing this for months. Her face turned red as each picture was displayed. Then came the financial records. Transactions showing money withdrawn on days she claimed she was running errands, but was actually whining and dining Jason on our dime. The cherry on top? A hotel receipt with her signature on it. And then my lawyer dropped the hammer. A copy of the prescription bottle. Proof that she had been treated for an STD, one I never had. The courtroom went dead silent. Vanessa's lawyer shuffled some papers, looking for a miracle that wasn't coming. She, on the other hand, sat there frozen, her face drained of all color. Then came the custody hearing. This was a real fight. I expected her to try and paint me as some workaholic father who didn't have time for his daughter. But my lawyer had prepped me well. We presented records, testimonies, even statements from babysitters who confirmed that Vanessa would disappear for hours, leaving our daughter in their care while she was out doing God knows what. And then I hit her where it hurt the most. A witness statement from our daughter's school teacher. Apparently, our little girl had mentioned Uncle Jason more than once in class. She had even told her teacher that Mommy says not to tell Daddy. That was it. The judge looked at Vanessa like she was dirt, like she was exactly what she was, an unfit mother. The ruling was swift. Full custody awarded to me. No shared parenting. No weekend visits unless I allowed them. Vanessa lost everything. No alimony. No child support. Nothing. As the judge read the final decision, I looked across the room at her. She wasn't the confident woman who once thought she had me trapped. She was broken, defeated, her life crumbling around her. She tried to hold back tears, but I saw them. I saw the regret, the realization that she had played herself. But there was no going back. As I walked out of that courtroom, I took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt free. Vanessa had thought she was winning the game. Turns out, she never even knew the rules. The days after the courtroom battle were eerily quiet. It was like the calm after a storm, the moment when you step outside and realize the wreckage is everywhere, but at least the worst has passed. Except, in this case, the wreckage was Vanessa's life, and she had done it to herself. She tried reaching out. First, it was texts, pathetic, pleading messages that range from half-hearted apologies to outright desperation. We had so many good years together. Can't we just talk? I was confused. I made mistakes. Please, don't shut me out like this. You're hurting our daughter by keeping me away from her. I didn't respond to a single one. Then the call started. At first, I ignored them. But when she began leaving voice messages, I listened just out of curiosity. Each one sounded more frantic than the last. I can't do this alone, she whimpered in one. I don't have anywhere to go. I can't even afford rent. Oh, how the mighty had fallen. Then, just as I expected, she flipped the script. The moment she realized pity wouldn't work, she turned to anger. The next messages were nothing but rage. You heartless bastard. You set me up. You manipulated everything just to ruin me. You think you're such a genius, but you're just a bitter, pathetic man who couldn't keep his wife happy. Projection. Classic. But my favorite message? The one where she tried to guilt-trip me into taking her back. I know I messed up, but you didn't have to destroy me. Do you really want our daughter to see her mother living in some rundown apartment, struggling? Do you want her to think you're the kind of man who takes everything away from the woman he once loved? You're showing her that revenge is more important than family. I had to laugh. Vanessa had spent years chipping away at my dignity, my self-worth, my trust. She had brought another man into our home, disrespected me in every possible way, and thought she would get away with it. And now, after she had lost, she wanted to play the victim? She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry for what she lost. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My silence was answer enough. But the best part? Jason, the man she threw everything away for, ghosted her the moment the court ruled against her. As soon as she lost access to the house, to the lifestyle she had while being my wife, he was gone, like smoke in the wind. I found out from a mutual acquaintance that Vanessa had tried to move in with him. He fed her some excuse about not being ready for a serious commitment and blocked her number. Turns out, Jason wasn't interested in a broke, divorced, single mom with nothing to her name. Poetic justice. I focused on my daughter, on giving her the stability she deserved. She was my priority, and every day I saw her smile, every time she hugged me and told me she loved me, I knew I had done the right thing. As for Vanessa, she had to learn the hard way that actions have consequences, that when you betray someone who truly loved you, there's no coming back. And the best part? I slept like a baby every night, knowing I had won. Vanessa eventually stopped trying to contact me. Maybe she finally realized that nothing she said would change the past. Or maybe she just found a new target to latch onto. Either way, I didn't care. My life had moved on, and I wasn't looking back. Raising my daughter alone wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. She was my world, and now, she was growing up in a stable home, without the chaos of a mother who had no idea what real love and loyalty looked like. It took time to fully heal from everything. The betrayal, the lies, the way Vanessa made me question my own worth. But one day, I woke up and realized that I didn't feel anger anymore. I didn't feel resentment. I just felt free. I started focusing on myself for the first time in years. I hit the gym, picked up new hobbies, and reconnected with old friends. For so long, I had been stuck in survival mode, walking on eggshells around Vanessa, trying to keep a sinking ship afloat. But now I was thriving. As for Vanessa, I heard bits and pieces about her through mutual acquaintances. She bounced from one failed relationship to another, never quite landing on her feet. She had lost a lifestyle she once took for granted, and it turned out that men weren't lining up to take care of a woman who had nothing to offer but regrets and baggage. One evening, years after everything had gone down, I was at the park watching my daughter play when a familiar voice called out my name. I turned to see Vanessa standing a few feet away. She looked different, older, tired, like life had worn her down in a way she never expected. I just wanted to say hi, she said, forcing a smile. And to see her, I looked over at my daughter. She was laughing with her friends, completely unaware that the woman who had given birth to her was standing nearby. I nodded. She's doing great. Vanessa swallowed hard. I miss her. I didn't respond right away. What was there to say? That she had done this to herself? That she had chosen to put a man before her own child? That she had thrown away everything for something that was never worth it? Instead, I just said, she's happy. Vanessa blinked a few times, like she was holding back tears. I'm glad. She stood there for a few moments longer, maybe waiting for me to say something else. But I didn't, because there was nothing left to say. Finally, she nodded, turned, and walked away. And just like that, the last piece of the past faded into the distance. I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I ever had. My daughter ran over, her face beaming. Daddy, did you see? I went across the monkey bars all by myself. I scooped her up and laughed. You're amazing, kiddo. And as we walked home together, I knew without a doubt that I had won. Not just a battle, but my entire life back. Time has a funny way of revealing the truth about people. It strips away all the illusions, all the excuses, and leaves you staring at reality, whether you like it or not. For Vanessa, reality had come crashing down like a wrecking ball, and she had no one to blame but herself. It had been years since the divorce, and life had never been better for me and my daughter. I had built something stable, something real, something that wasn't built on lies, deceit, and manipulation. My daughter was thriving, excelling in school, and growing into a young woman who knew her worth. And as for me, well, I had finally found peace. Vanessa, on the other hand, had spent those years learning the hard way that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. It was dead, rotten, and filled with regrets. At first, she tried to maintain her old ways. She jumped from one man to another, hoping to land someone who would take care of her, someone who would pick up the pieces of the life she had shattered. But men weren't stupid. They saw her for what she was, damaged goods, a woman who had thrown away her family for temporary excitement and ended up with nothing. The last I had heard, Jason, the man she had ruined our marriage for, had ghosted her completely. The moment he realized Vanessa had lost everything, her home, her finances, even custody of her daughter, he disappeared like smoke in the wind. That had to be a harsh dose of reality for her. Some part of me wondered if she regretted it all, if she ever laid awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wishing she had chosen differently. But that wasn't my concern anymore. Her choices had consequences, and she was finally facing them. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message from her. It was a simple text, nothing dramatic. Can we talk? For a brief moment, I considered ignoring it. She didn't deserve a response. But a part of me was curious. What did she want after all these years? So, against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. Not at my home, not anywhere personal, just a neutral cafe, where there was nothing but a table between us and the years of betrayal behind us. When I walked in, I barely recognized her. She looked older, more fragile, like life had drained the spark out of her. Her once carefully styled hair was now dull and lifeless, and the confidence she used to wear like armor was gone. "Thank you for coming," she said softly, stirring the coffee in front of her. I sat down, leaning back. "What do you want, Vanessa?" She hesitated, as if trying to find the right words. Then she sighed. I wanted to apologize." I said nothing, just let her sit in the silence. She glanced down at her hands. I was stupid, I was selfish, and I lost everything because of it. I know I can't change the past, and I know I don't deserve anything from you, but I needed to say it. I studied her for a long moment. The Vanessa I had known, no, the Vanessa I had loved, was long gone. This was just a shell of the woman she used to be. And maybe, in some twisted way, this was justice. She had gambled with everything, thinking she could have it all, and in the end, she had nothing. "I appreciate the apology," I finally said, "but it changes nothing." She looked up, pain flickering in her eyes. "I miss our daughter." I nodded. "I'm sure you do, but you made your choice, and now you have to live with it." She swallowed hard, as if trying to hold back tears. Do you think she'll ever want to see me again?" I shrugged. "That's up to her. When she's older, if she wants to reach out, I won't stop her. But I won't force it either. She remembers what you did, Vanessa, she remembers all the nights you weren't there. That's not something you can just undo with a few words. Tears slipped down her face, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no satisfaction, just indifference. This was the bed she had made, and now she had a lie in it. She wiped her face quickly, trying to regain some composure. I understand. I stood up, ready to leave. Goodbye, Vanessa. She didn't try to stop me, didn't beg for another chance. Maybe she finally understood that some bridges can never be rebuilt. As I walked out of that cafe, I felt a sense of finality. This was truly the end, not just of my marriage, not just of Vanessa's role in my life, but of any power she once had over me. For the first time in years, I was completely free. And that was the real victory.